Good afternoon. Welcome to Real Talk with Brian Poduska. I'm Lyndon Wilson, the creator of The Difference, and Brian Poduska's trusty sidekick on this hour that we do every Thursday. Real Talk with Brian Poduska. We've been doing this now for probably 8 months, and Brian has some really good local area professionals on the show, and I want to apologize today for my camera clarity. I've been having some technical issues all day long, so not quite the quality we want to have, but hopefully we'll work through this. Before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about The Difference and what it's all about. The Difference was created with small businesses in mind, small businesses, entrepreneurs, independent contractors, real estate professionals, whether you're in the support industry or actual real estate industry yourself, and the importance that they play within our communities. We just started a new series called The Difference Makers, and we're going to be spotlighting and highlighting a lot of those local businesses and how they are embedded, ingrained, and impacting their individual communities, and why they're so important, and what you need to know about them, because we all realize the importance of hiring, shopping, and buying local, and we want to make sure that each and every one of these communities that we reach understands who are in their communities that are small business owners, what they do, and their passion for serving those communities. So that's a little bit about that. Talking about The Difference, last year we had over 500,000 viewers in 12 months, and that's not bad for a group of amateurs who really didn't know what we were doing, but we realized that it was an opportunity for us to get out in front of the people and hopefully help our businesses grow, serve more people, and do some good things for our community. So without taking up any more time of our show today, I'm going to introduce Brian. Brian's got a couple of guests on. He's going to have a pop-in guest as well. So I want to introduce Brian now, bring him on screen with me. Hello, Brian. How are you doing?
Awesome, Lyndon. I am doing awesome. A little chilly today in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and but I'm staying warm. And I don't know if you can't really tell, I don't think, on the screen, but I'm wearing my Valentine pink today, so I'm really bringing it full force here.
You're getting a little pink tint there. I can see that a little bit. I wouldn't have noticed if you hadn't told me, but here's my question. You think it's cold here? I mean, you're from up north. Is this not like normal? This is like a July day for you, isn't it?
Yeah. My blood thinned about 6 weeks after I moved down here because I moved down to DFW from the Chicago area. So yes, you'd think that this would be like a normal winter day for a Chicagoan, but I tell you, when you move down here in the middle of July, your blood gets pretty thin in a hurry. So I can still take the cold, but I tell you, I lost all my, or I got rid of all my heavy winter coats. So this is more, I got to struggle through it like everybody else.
I was fortunate. I had to go up to the deer lease earlier this week. And so I've got my totes full of all my warm hunting clothes. I brought those back. So I may be walking around looking like I just came out of the hunting woods, but I will be warm.
Oh, there you go. That in your truck, you look like you belong.
I do. I know, right? So, Brian, tell everybody that doesn't know, that may be watching right now or watching in the future, what real property management is all about.
Yeah, thank you, Lyndon. So Real Property Management we focus on your real estate investments. So we work with investors big and small, all sizes. If you're new, we're starting a new seminar, which I'll tease out right now, but we're going to have Brian Dobbs jump in here as well to talk about that. But essentially we work with investors who own real estate property, investment property, to basically take care of that for them. So we take them pretty much completely out of the equation of ownership. We handle all the tenant interactions, tenant discovery, tenant placement, rent collection, maintenance, evictions if necessary. But again, we specialize in really helping folks understand the numbers as far as what their real estate investment is going to look like. So we have a pretty cool tool called Wealth Optimizer, which essentially boils down and looks at your real estate potential investment from every different angle you can look at. So it doesn't just look at cash flow, which is, kind of the buzzword that people look at first, but it looks at, your depreciation, your appreciation specific to a certain neighborhood or area that you're in. And it really kind of holistically looks at what that investment is going to return for you on a 5, 10, 15, 20-year basis. So that is us in a nutshell. Real talk with me, powered by The Difference. What we've been doing, the last, several months, I guess, is really trying to bring local entrepreneurs and business owners onto the show to highlight their businesses, to talk about their businesses, to talk about themselves, provide a little personality behind the face of the brand, so to speak. And that's what we're going to continue to do. Really try to elevate the local community here, especially during these times. And so our guest today, we've got two of our sponsors on today, Carrie and Daniel Cook. So we will bring them on. I don't know if Brian's in the background yet.
Not yet.
Is he in the studio? Okay.
Not yet.
Well,
Not yet.
That's cool. What we'll do whenever he gets here, I know he's just going to be here for a short time, so we might cut out real quick to talk about that real estate seminar that I alluded to earlier. But what that is essentially is, if you have $100,000 or more of equity in your home, it really is an opportunity to take that $100,000 and leverage it much more than you would get just in regular appreciation in your home. And the seminar gets into, what talk about and think about what your overall goals are, and then how do we help real estate help you reach those goals. And we've got a team of real estate ancillary professions, I guess you can say. So Brian himself is an agent with EXP. Property management myself sits on the panel, the discussion panel in the seminar. But there's several other different ancillary professions. So title, home warranty, you name it, you go down the list, and we've got a team of folks that can help you reach your real estate goals. So that's an overview of what the seminar is. When Brian does pop in, we'll go back to that. But let's shift gears and let's bring in our first guest. Actually, let's just bring them in together. We'll bring Daniel and Carrie in together. No need. Caught you looking at some paper.
Yeah, always working, man. Always working.
Surprise.
You can't work and be on the show at the same time, Carrie. This is a full-time job for this hour. So welcome to the show, guys. How are you doing today?
Good.
Awesome. Daniel, can you say what's up? Because I don't know if we can hear you.
He's really delayed.
Yeah,
I have mine on mute.
Oh, all right. That's why we couldn't hear you. I mean, come on. How long have we been doing this? This platform, the Zoom platform? You haven't figured out the mute button yet? Really?
Hey, we all make that mistake. We did that twice today on an earlier show.
I saw the one with Brent and Greg.
Yeah. Yep. Good stuff. Good stuff. We started a new series today, 16 shows a month, hour and a half a piece. And I host them all right now. And I'm telling you what, I might have bit off more than I could chew. It's gonna be a lot of work.
That's what you're about, learning hard work.
Hey, somebody's got to do it.
Let me call you after the podcast and I'll do it. I'll get you in the set right now.
Okay, I wanted to bring you guys on the show today. I know you were on roughly a month ago or so, and we'll continue to have you guys on a regular cadence because you guys are our prime sponsors. And number one, really appreciate that. Appreciate your partnership. We do several networking groups together, and we've done masterminds together. So I personally appreciate you guys coming on and being a partner with us. So Carrie, let's talk a little real estate, since this is real talk after all, right? So Carrie, let's talk a little real estate. Got a little echo going on there.
Yeah, we got some feedback pretty bad.
I think Daniel's on one of those archaic networks.
Oh, where'd you go? You just went out, Daniel. What if that? Oh.
You guys might have to act like you like each other and be in the same room.
Well, his internet's down.
I think they
Nope,
were in
there
the
he's
same
back.
room. Yeah.
Is yours working okay?
I'm fine. I just turned my microphone off so you could talk.
Oh.
So that way they can hear the background.
He turned his microphone off so I could talk to y'all.
Okay. Well, good, because we were going to start with you anyway. We may never get to Daniel. Who knows?
There's a lot going on in real estate.
Yeah. So let's talk a little real estate. Obviously, we're both realtors, right? I have a different avenue and clientele that I service in the property management space, but I do enjoy the sale aspect as well. I've through that, I guess I've experienced the joys of today's market. In the ads that we read, every week on your behalf, you throw some statistics out there about, how the basically pointing to the fact that this is a seller's market and it's driven by the fact that inventory is so low. The real estate market in every community really is driven by the job market and population growth, right? Obviously, the DFW area here is very strong in that aspect, and with the drop in inventory, it's just created a huge glut of buyers and a very limited number of sellers. So that's kind of the state of this market, and I think that's pretty typical across the country, but to lesser extents in other metroplexes. Let me ask you, you represent both buyers and sellers, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So how much fun have you been having on the buy side?
I'm running all over town for no reason. You just can't find a house. I have one couple that's from Minnesota. Their market's pretty strong too. They put their house on the market on Thursday and they had 20 showings that weekend. And I can't even remember how many offers they had, but Monday they executed a contract. So we've been looking here and they came into town and I think we've put in 6 contracts so far.
And you're 0 for 6?
Yep. Pretty much.
And roughly on average, not specific to that client, but roughly on average, how much have you been coming in relative to list?
10 to 15 over, but they're very, this particular client is very strong about not going over a certain amount. So,
Gotcha.
and they're sticking to it because they know they're overpaying, right?
Yeah, and I think I've seen that in several deals that I've had too. Is that people are willing to go above, and then that's where emotions come into it too. But if you have the clients that stick to their guns and have a budget, and rightfully so, can't go above a certain amount, then that hopefully limits the pool that you're dealing in, and just hoping that your client isn't the one that is eliminated by that number.
Right. Well, and too, in this market, with it being a seller's market, when you have a contingency, kind of knocks you out of the waters anyway.
Yeah, and I've experienced that on my side as well. Is that everything that you took for granted before in a deal that you used to hand in, like, okay, yeah, sellers got the the title cost and things that.
Yeah, you don't do that now.
Yeah, it's every little piece of a contract is now a negotiating tool, and you better be coming strong on pretty much every single aspect of it.
And I have, and I know one out in Prosper had like 20 offers on it, 18. So I'm keeping notes because I want to go back and see how much they actually sell for to see how much is overpaid,
I've got a list of every client I take to every property. I have a spreadsheet and I keep a running list of every single one of them. And I never really used to go back and see, where did it end up? Occasionally I did, but I've kept every single one of those spreadsheets to see,
It's interesting.
Yeah.
But on the flip side,
I
on the listing side,
got a question. I got a question for both of you. It's something that just puzzles me. Is it good for the market to have to be overpaying so much on so many houses right now?
That's kind of a loaded question, but Because it all depends on what your perspective is, right? I think the general answer is no. I think and I'll take it to a higher comparison, right? And I don't think this just applies to the real estate market. I think anytime you have an imbalance of supply and demand, you create an opportunity, but oftentimes you create a problem too. And what eventually happens, economics 101, right? Supply and demand are out of whack, but eventually there's going to have to be an equilibrium that we meet. And the question in this market, and I think in a lot of other strong markets, is what happens on the back end and as we equalize, and does it balance out, or does it swing back the other way, and we go back and forth for a while? So I don't know necessarily how to answer your question, Lennon, because if you're a seller, you're like, yeah, this is great. But in the overall market, right? I think there is going to be blowback. We've seen appreciation in this market in particular, and I don't want to minimize 2008 by any means, but this geographic area compared to many others in the U.S. was more insulated, not immune to it, but more insulated.
Right, it was.
And a lot of that had to do with the cost of living being low. Again, going back to job growth, right? That's one of the main drivers of real estate. So you had those insulating factors going on in DFW that you may not have had in a lot of the other areas that were significantly impacted. But think about the areas that were: California, Florida to a lesser extent, the Northeast. You think about those areas and the cost of living. The cost of living is extremely high, and when you've got to run on housing prices, you're creating a situation where, down the road, when it comes time to sell or even bank appraisals, things like that, you're creating a gap. That gap's going to have to be filled somewhere, and it's going to fall on a homeowner, a consumer, a bank, and there's going to be fallout. It's just a matter of where does that fall, right?
Right.
So I don't think there's much good that's going to come out of it long run, and equilibrium will be found. It's just a matter of how long and what that looks like and what the fallout's going to be to get there.
Right.
That's my thoughts. I don't know about you, Carrie.
Oh, I agree. It's not going to be a good deal, I don't think, when it happens.
Well, and the when is the big question, because we've talked about this on this show before. The number of distressed mortgages that are out there is 250-ish% of prior year. Forbearance is still in place, but at some point you're going to kick the can so far down the road. That money is still owed. It's not forgiven. It's for forbearance, but it's not forgiven. So obviously the underlying current in all of this is how quickly we get out of the COVID situation and employment gets back to where it was. So, all that stuff, put it in a pot and boil it, and what do you have? You got a big bubble, is my opinion. So when is it going to pop, and how quickly is it going to pop? I don't know.
Yeah.
So
stay tuned.
Well, I was going to say on the listing side, it is great right now, but if you're selling and you've got to buy another one, you're getting caught right in that trap.
Yeah. And, I've heard horror stories of, I hope this doesn't happen to your client coming from Minnesota, but people that are relocating to the area that, sold their house quicker than they thought they were going to. And then all of a sudden they're scrambling to find one here, and they need to live in temporary living for question mark, like how long,
right.
And how long is that sustainable? And that puts stress on that type of market. Right. So what do? You sell your home and then you're homeless. And then the question is, how long are you homeless for? And then how much can you really afford when you thought you were going to be able to afford this much, now the prices are going for, like you said, 15, 20% above list. All of a sudden, okay, maybe I can't get that 5-bedroom home. Now I have to get a 4, or, you know, whatever the metric is that you're looking for is now downgraded.
Yeah, and we've had that conversation and an expectation of, you know, what are we going to do if we don't find something before you move here? You know, because you gotta set that out there. And we've talked about leases, you know, just, I don't know. It's a big question.
Well, you know where to come if you need if you need a lease.
Yeah.
Got properties.
They're going fast too. I've got a few lease clients and they're just flying off the shelf.
That is true. And they're, you know, the rental market is increasing as well. So rents are, I don't know the official numbers, but I can tell you from my personal experience, 5, 10, 15% higher than last year. You know, obviously it depends on the area, but generally speaking, they are definitely increasing. So
yeah, I've noticed that too.
So, you know, how that, you know, bringing it back to big picture, cost of living is going up. And Dallas has for a long time been seen as a low-ish cost of living from a big city perspective, low-ish cost of living. But that gap is changing quickly. You know, there is a big gap there because I can speak personally. I moved from the Chicago area. You can still get a lot more house here than you can up north in the Chicago area. And obviously California is another league. But, and, you know, part of that is you've got a lot of folks moving into the area from those locations that had, you know, because of the rapid appreciation, or if they've had a home for a long time, the long compounding appreciation that they've gotten out of the equity out of their homes, all of a sudden they're coming into the marketplace and they've got cash money talking, coming into a deal. And usually cash is king. And, you know, when you're competing against 30, 40 other people, those tend to float near the top of the list.
I heard one the other day that they paid $100,000 over list.
On what
No
basis?
way.
Yeah.
What basis?
What do you mean? What
was the list price?
I don't know what the list price was. I think it was 300 or 400. I just couldn't believe someone would pay an extra 100,000. Period.
Well,
how long before they get back into as Brian was saying, into a balance where they can start building equity? I mean,
I don't know the whole situation on that one, but part of it is, like Brian said, California selling. They've got a ton of money. They've got to roll some of it into a house, or they pay capital gains. So I think that situation, I'm guessing, is more of a, hey, I've got to do something with this, so I don't care. I don't want to pay taxes on it, but they'd have to stay in that house a while.
yeah.
Yeah, $100,000 on a $300,000 or $400,000 house, you may get it back. You know, who knows? But I mean, that's going to take 15, 20 years.
Might as well stay there forever.
Depends on the community and all that. But yeah, that's crazy. I hadn't heard one that bad. I mean, I know personally I've experienced the $50,000 over offer or over list, and I know that's a much higher price listing, but yeah, that's
it's crazy.
So they'll get their equity. I mean, that one actually appraised, so the equity is there. That one obviously is not going to appraise. So.
No, and I'll tell you another one. It listed for 280, which was low. Anyway, they probably should have listed at 290, but they got 306, and appraisal came in at 299. So they met the difference.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately
That's
in order to get a deal nowadays, you pretty much have to waive or at least draw a pretty close to waiving line when it comes to appraisal value. I mean, you might get lucky in bidding with somebody who's in the same boat as you if you don't waive it, but yeah, a lot of people are covering the gap if they can.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I'm going to sell one in that neighborhood, so I'm happy about that.
What'd you say?
I'm going to sell one in that neighborhood, so I'm happy about that price.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's good for realtors, that's for sure. As long as you're a listing agent. All right, so that's a crazy market that we're in. I don't want to focus on that, though. What I do want to do is give folks the opportunity to learn a little bit more about you, Carrie. So as we go along, and we read your spot every week and reintroduce you every week as a sponsor. Tell us and tell the audience why, what inspired you to get into real estate?
Had a friend that worked on me for a year, and Daniel and I talked about it, and he was gracious enough to allow me the opportunity to, he took on the brunt of everything and allowed me to go into real estate and try to make something out of it, which has been great. I just got tired of driving an hour and a half every day, one way. Got tired of being held hostage 9 to 5 if I needed to do something too bad. So, a lot of those things are big reasons why I did it. And I'm happier for it. I'm doing better, way better than I was when I was working 40 hours a week. Now I work 70, 80, but that doesn't matter.
The 70 and 80 are a lot different though, right? I mean,
Right.
It's
Totally.
so I can talk a little bit of that too, because I was in the rat race as well as 9 to 5. I travel quite a bit. I did quite a bit over my 20-ish years in corporate America, but and I do work. I worked a ton of hours there, and I work more hours now, but the hours are completely different, and they look completely different. So I guess, I ran over to jump on the show from a networking launch that I was part of. And I consider that working, I guess, but
It's fun.
because you're busy, you're business building, you're making relationships that's going to build your business. So I guess that's considered time on the clock, but it looks completely different than sitting behind a desk and or doing whatever you're doing from your 9 to 5 W-2 job. Just an example, and as a property manager, I'm out of properties all the time. Anywhere from showings to maintenance calls to to listings to photography. I mean, you name it. We're doing a lot of different things in the property management space. So yeah, even though you're putting in a lot of hours, I personally love it because I like the numbers aspect of it. I'm a numbers guy, so the investment piece of it to me is really intriguing. But I've really found the working with people, whether it be on a sale or finding the right place for somebody to rent. I found that to be really refreshing. So yeah, I can relate. I think I took most of your time on that question.
It's worth the 80 hours.
What's that?
It's worth the 80 hours.
Yeah. No, I wholeheartedly agree with that. The 80 hours looks completely, and the good thing is the 80 hours doesn't come 9 to 5 or whatever that math works out to 9 to 8.
No,
it's it's here and there, and you have some late nights, you have some days that you can completely take off, which is really nice. Yeah. I have to take hockey trips and things like that, but yeah. So no, that's great, and that's we've talked about it before, and we covered it on the show last time. But there's a ton of agents out there, right? They're a dime a dozen. Right, and so tell us, what makes Carrie Cook special? What do you do to go above and beyond for your clients? And if you've got an example or two, I'm kind of putting you on the spot on this one because I know I didn't prep you for this one, but do you have something in your head that pops to the forefront about a special client experience that you had that just made you feel like, gosh, I'm doing the right thing. This is exactly where I want to be?
Well, these people from Minnesota that I'm working with, it's been guiding them to focus on the areas and different things, but also like he'll see a property, I'll go run to it. I'll go FaceTime him and walk through, and we'll look at different things and we'll discuss it because we're in that situation where that's the only option we have. And they feel bad for asking me, but I told them I'm happy to do it. It's not a big deal. It's part of my job. It's what I offer for you guys. And some people will and some people won't,
Yeah. And it's funny. I've had a lot of clients go, well, you don't have to do that. I'm like, well, no, I don't have to, but if it helps you make a decision or helps you feel comfortable with the decision you're making, then let's do it. because that ultimately it's the client's needs and wants and happiness that you're out there, looking out for. So, yeah, no, I get it. That's a cool feeling when you can do that, and then at the closing, exhale a bit.
Yeah, it's rewarding
Yeah,
to be able to help them.
yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Well, I do. I know we do have a bit of a shorter program, so I don't want to cut your husband Daniel out of this at
Yeah,
all.
I don't want to do that either.
Not today, anyway. Well, if you guys had issues before, that's fine. I'm just kidding.
I'll mute mine so you can.
So, Len and I assume Brian hasn't jumped in yet behind the scenes.
Oh, crap! I can't hear them.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Cool. Well, before we jump over to Daniel, I do want to read the ad spot for our other sponsor, Mr. Holdberg. So if you've got that, Lennon, if you can splash that up on the screen, awesome. There it is. So let me talk a little bit about Liberator Health Insurance and Mr. Greg Holdberg, who's an awesome guy. He offers a very unique product. Greg's been on the show. He's also a member of the Difference Makers now. So if you're following the difference, you're going to see him a lot more. But Liberator Health Insurance, they have plans that allow you to see any doctor, go to any hospital, in or out of network, and save 40 to 60% on your premiums. It gives you choice. I'm not going to read the entire screen here, but it gives you the power of choice and the power of negotiation if that's what you so choose. But you're not forced to go to a specific doctor, and you're not forced to pay exorbitant prices that are mass negotiated with some of these huge, larger plans. I do want to point out, Greg's got a deal of the week, the Liberator deal of the week this week. It's a couple with a new baby, $468 a month. You go to some of your big government plans and look at what a couple with a brand new baby is going to pay. Probably double that is my guess, but it's definitely not under $500 a month. So you can see on the screen there all the things that are covered by these plans. Again, it's part of the largest PPO network. So take a look at those. If you can find something that's not listed there, good luck. But if you need to get a hold of Greg, in addition to seeing him on the show on the Difference Makers, call him or text him at 214-886-4688, or visit the website at www.liberatorhealthinsurance.com. All right. Now, Daniel, we'll move over to you. Hopefully we've got our technical difficulties straightened out here. But Daniel, you recently started your own business, the DFW or Cook DFW Roofing and Restoration, and I love. We sat down and just kind of brainstormed a little bit early on in the early opening stages, I guess you can call it, about what your business strategy is, what your niche market is, and much like Carrie and myself, for that matter, my space is a little more insulated because it's property management, but there's a ton of realtors out there. There's a ton of roofers out there, right? Come March, when our first hailstorm, there's going to be double or triple the amount of roofers out there because they're going to flood the area from the other neighboring states. I want to make sure that we make clear to our audience, what sets you apart from the 3,000 other roofers that are in the DFW area.
Yeah, 4,000.
Oh, it's only 4,000 now? Okay, all right. My bad. I missed that number.
So honestly, it's not very hard to separate yourself. There's a lot of contractors out there, and there's a lot of guys that say, I can do this, and you don't have to worry about anything. And then at the end of the day, you're going to get stuck with an inferior product and a whole bunch of problems. And when you make that phone call as a homeowner or as a property manager or a commercial, account executive, and you're saying, hey, you just came out here and did these repairs, and now this, and this is wrong. And do the right thing. And that's the difference. And my total goal is that every one of my clients has my cell phone number. They can call me. They're going to get somebody on the other end of the phone. And if they don't get me right away, I'm going to call them back within an hour. And I just feel that's going to be something important. I know as me as a consumer, that's something I look for. I don't like to necessarily worry about how I'm going to get in contact with someone for a product or a job or service. I really like knowing people if I want to get something in that magnitude. So, contractors are no different. I mean, I know tons of contractors and big businesses, and they're big businesses for a reason. I mean, they've been very successful and they've grown and they've gotten a good name on themselves. But as you grow, unless you focus on continuing to follow up and keep the same pattern that got you to that success, then you start to have some hurdles. And it all comes down to how you staffed, what's your processes, what is your long-term plans and everything you put in place to make sure that those things aren't dropped. Because at the end of the day, we're all doing the right thing. We're all taking care of customers, and whoever takes care of the customers the best is who's going to win long term. And so that's the focus.
Like focus. There you go. No, I mean, I agree. With any business, right? The focus is, the consumer or customer experience. Whether that be whether you're selling a product, a service, whatever it is, the end user has to have a good experience and want to come back to you. Now, in your case, they don't want to have to come back to you for another roof replacement. We try to minimize those, but what they will do is when their neighbor needs a roof, or when one of their friends say, "Hey, do you know a good roofer?" The first thing they're going to do is say, "Yep, I had a really good experience with Cook DFW." I think you hit the nail on the head. Obviously, with the consumer focused aspect. Now, I do know that you've got some technology that sets you apart as well, and technology that you can utilize to really hit on that first, the consumer experience happiness aspect. I thought it was pretty cool. I'd love to try it out myself sometime, but I know the equipment's expensive, so I won't ask you to let me take a test flight on it. But tell us about how you do your estimates and some of the technology that you have that others don't.
Yeah, we went ahead and invested into some large software companies' technology. It's a company called Loveland Technology, and they focus on drones, taking an examination of the property, measuring the entire roof, the sides, getting all the accurate intricacies of the roof, the elevation, the pitch, everything that's involved with the roof and the demographics of that. And then what we can do on top, we can then detect damage down to nickel size damage on the roof line and on the roof perimeter. And it magnifies these damage marks. And so it brings, in the insurance business, it's unfortunately that, insurance is only going to pay for what they can perceive as certifiable damage that is not up for discussion. A lot of times you may get on a roof and they say, well, that's really not storm damage, that's mechanical damage, or that's a squirrel eating something off the shingle, that's not a hail hit, or just because the shingle's folded over, that may not be damage. And so with this software now, we get to create a total report for the homeowner that they get a copy for, and then we get to submit that to the insurance company as an independent third-party company. It's not our software, it's another company that has been tried and tested. They work with insurance companies still. And now they get a report that says, yes, this is damage from this storm. You can see the hail hits. You can magnify them. You can see the wind, the shingles that are loose, the accessories that are bent or dented or missing. And so it really brings a whole nother level of a report now. It also gives the customer some basis of, because what's the old story? Every roofer is going to come knock on my door. They're going to jump up on my roof. They're going to say I have damage. And they're going to want me to open up a claim. And well, with this now, you can say, well, no, you don't have to open up a claim at all. Because unless I don't want you to open up a claim, because, then you're going to get mad at me. So now if you have this other third party, report, now the homeowner says, hey, it's not just this roofer, it's not just Daniel. It's this third-party company is also telling me I have damage. So now there's something there that's tangible, something the homeowner has that a lot of companies don't do because well, like you referenced earlier, it is expensive. Just the drone and all those technology and the software, it's $5,000-6,000, and so not every company is going to want to invest that for this type of stuff. So, but it opens up the door to so many more things. We have a lot of high elevation homes in Collin County. We have a lot of high pitch homes. When I say that, meaning their vertical on them is 12 and 14s and 16 pitch homes. No inspector is going to be able to get up there and inspect the roof properly. No roofer is going to be able to get up there and inspect the roof on those type of roofs. So with this technology, it brings a whole nother dimension of accurate, honest, tangible product to give to the homeowner and to the insurance company.
Yeah, so for the layman like myself who hangs his Christmas lights by hand every year, high pitched roof means scary, right? So I'm not usually afraid to get on a roof with and I'll get on mine, but especially in Illinois, the roofs, generally speaking, were fairly flat. So I had a rude awakening when I stepped on the roof for the first time when we moved down here, and I'm like, oh yeah, everything's bigger in Texas, including the pitch on your roof. So, but
the pictures are intimidating.
Yeah, no, I joke around, but you're right. That is, I mean, obviously you're getting with the drone technology, you're getting to areas that the normal person isn't going to crawl up to and inspect and find damage. So you have a more a holistic look at the roof as opposed to hey, it's here, so it's got to be there, or it's not here, even though it may be present there. So you have the, I guess, unbiased opinion of a device that's hovering however many 100 feet above the house it is. So you're going to have to let me do a test flight one time.
Well, and you can come out anytime. We can do one together. We can do one in your house. You'll see the difference of what can happen. But another thing to bring up to some people is that you got to be real careful who you're letting on your property, because as a homeowner, let's say this other company comes out. They don't need drones. They want to get on. My guys know what they're doing. Let's just say by accident, someone falls off the roof and you're a homeowner. You could be responsible for that contractor falling off your roof. And I don't know, not saying it, any contractor is going to sue a homeowner, but they could happen. And, because you allowed them to be on your property and they fall off because they just weren't, as sure of themselves as they thought they should be. And, that leaves you open for liability as a homeowner too. So you got to be careful when you're owning, homes that could have that kind of problems. You got to be aware of those kind of situations as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And one other thing that I'll call out on your business, because you may not want me to, because it may be very expensive in the long run, but I know you do thank you gifts for your customers that as an appreciation when you're all done. And if you like wine, I know that's been a gift in the past. I know you partner with one of our other referral partners who does who runs a wine distribution business for charity purposes. So I'll give them a shout out too. But my point in all that is, you're going above and beyond on the front end and then on the back end and showing appreciation on the back end as well. You're not just going in, doing a job and leaving. It truly is building that relationship with your client and customer. Yeah,
no, absolutely. That's my goal. I know nobody wants to replace their roof every 2 or 3 years. That's not what you should have to do. And even if I do have a customer that we replace the roof, I don't want them to forget about me. Maybe they need to stain their fence. Maybe they need to change out to solar screens. Maybe they need somebody just to help them with hanging some stuff in their house. If I have the ability to help somebody, I just want to help people. That's the main thing. I'm not trying to, and I think we talked about this several months ago, I'm not trying to sell 200 roofs a year. I'm trying to be a quality contractor that's going to give them the most and try to really be the only phone call they need to call. And I may not have the answer every time. I may not be able to help them every time, but I'm going to give it my all to try at least to do something for them. I'm not just going to say, nope, I don't know anything about that, or nope, good luck finding somebody. I just truly want to try to help them, you know?
Amen, brother. I love that about, your strategy. We talked about it up front. You're the boutique roofer that goes above and beyond for the client, and that's whether it's roof or any other thing they need help with, even if it's outside your scope, they can utilize your connections and contacts as well. So, no, I love it. I love the strategy, and I know you've been killing it for the first couple months that you've been in full bore business mode. I know, heck, you took the last call from the road because you were on a job, right? So we appreciate you being staying put in the office today for the radio show. But no, keep killing it, man. Get back out there and keep killing it.
It's too cold outside for me. This is not my kind of weather. I need this.
Yeah,
I need 50 more degrees before I get outside.
Yeah, I guess we picked the right day for the radio show because, I don't think anybody wants to be up on the roof today, especially with the freezing rain we had last night. A little dangerous. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing all that, guys. Like I said, we're going to cut a little bit short today because I've got to go pick up my little one from school, who is one of the only school districts in the area who's actually in session today. So, we'll cut it a little bit short today. But again, thanks for being on the show today, and thanks for the partnership of the sponsorship going forward. And again, we'll have you guys on every once in a while just to say hello and check in and maybe talk some specific topics as we go. Lennon, I don't know if you've got that ad for the seminar. I do want to talk about that before we sign off here.
I did not get a chance to get that up, Brian.
Okay.
I apologize.
No, that's all good. So like I mentioned, I'll just verbalize it. So we've got the real estate investment seminar essentially that's going to happen next Thursday. So that is the 18th of February at Jake's, right across from Toyota Stadium in downtown Frisco. We've got a room reserved there. We will observe social distancing to be safe. We will also provide appetizers for free. So the seminar is free. The appetizers are free. The education is free. We just ask that you come with an open mind and goals in mind that are personal to you. Lennon, you've been to one of our few seminars that we've done.
Yep.
And I don't want to be too boastful on it, but I know you had a good experience. And I think it's extremely beneficial to folks that do have that equity in their home, that have been thinking about getting into real estate investing, but just didn't know how to do it or didn't feel like they had the knowledge or team behind them to get that extra push they need to get going.
That's right. I've in the real estate business now for almost 25 plus years, and I've been to hundreds of homebuyer seminars. And this one goes far beyond, just buying the home, selling the home. It also teaches you how to own it in a way that can generate revenue for you, and more than just building equity. I mean, building equity can kind of sometimes be passive. You guys have a blueprint and a plan that, of all the seminars that I've ever been involved in, being in the mortgage business, being around the real estate industry, I had never heard things described, and the opportunities. I guess that's it. I don't think we all realize the opportunities that come with owning a home, owning multiple homes, owning investment properties. We know the basics, but I was stunned by some of the simple things that were, brought to that seminar and people were made aware of. And so the fact you get free appetizers, you get free advice, you get free coaching, you get to make some connections. And how I feel about connections, the valuable connections there of mentors. If you ever are considering owning, buying, whatever, a home, I would suggest at least come in and listen to this, because it's an eye opener. It really is.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. And we're there as a panel to throw questions out as well. So whether you're a novice or whether you've been in real estate for a bit, feel free to come and, throw tomatoes at us along with the questions and we'll answer them for you. But But with that being said, come on out February 18th, next Thursday. Jake's right across the street from Toyota Stadium in downtown Frisco. Hope you can make it. With that, let's sign off, and I'm going to go pick up my daughter, and we'll see you guys next week, Thursday, 1 o'clock, as always.
All right. Be safe.